Part number 2, and I'm going to simplify this video. On the first part, I explained the thought lines for the people that were talking about Bishop Duncan Williams' supposed swords of initiation on Apostle Joshua Salmon, and also on the subject of Pastor Jerry Eze, right? And so a lot of people were speculating that. I gave the outline of where these ideas come from, that the ideas might not be far off, but is that particular situation they are making a reference to. So now in this particular video, I wanted to show a little bit more on the subject, but particularly focusing on the sword. Okay, so you would have heard in the previous part I got into the subject of the presentation when it comes to the subject of whether do Masons give swords for initiations.
A local Masonic temple wants to find whoever recently broke into their building, and it doesn't stop there. The thief also made off with some unique items that can also be dangerous, and it's not the only time the lodge has been broken into. 10 on your side's Jason Marks has more on the story tonight.
Well, this is very puzzling to the folks here over the Kempsville Masonic Temple. They had someone who broke into the lodge and randomly took items, but those items were things that the members really cared a lot about. At the Kempsville Masonic Temple, the history dates back hundreds of years.
I like to say we're not a secret society, but a society of secrets.
But on Friday night, an event they wish they could rewrite took place.
I noticed glass breakage and glass all at the entrance area at both doors.
Member Bob Stanek discovered the break-in first thing Saturday morning.
It's heartbreaking.
The thieves randomly vandalized some of the property and stole items that mean a lot to the Masons, starting with 2 ceremonial swords. The cabinet now sits empty.
There are a lot of things here more sentimental value than monetary value to us. So it's extremely disappointing.
Of 13 of these, 5 of these were taken at random.
The heist included several Masonic jewelry collars and 100-year-old tapestries.
How much do you want to see these people caught?
Anyone who commits a crime, we want to see them caught.
And the similarities to Princess Anne Lodge that happened earlier in the year are eerie, I suppose.
The thieves did the same thing at the Princess Anne Lodge in February. Knocked out the floodlights, broke in, and stole a sword.
They came probably, we think, potentially for the swords, and while they were here, they just destroyed other things just out of meanness.
What's secret right now is the people who did this. Members hoping that won't be a secret much longer.
So according to the news segment you just watched right now, there is a sword associated with a Masonic lodge, but that sword, it's used for ceremonies.
The sword you give to me, he'll be here, so you'll hear from him himself. And he said, I hung the sword in my office. So they brought the sword, he lifted the sword, and he made some prophetic declarations to break some battles. He told the protocol guy, go hang the sword back on the wall. So the guy went to hang the sword, and he wasn't coming back. So after a while, he sent to find out what was happening, and the guy was stuck on the wall where the sword was hanging. And he had to go and pray to pull him out from the wall and from the sword.
So it might be used for initiations and whatnot, but the sword is not given to the person. It stays in the temple. Like I've stated before, they have these things, they don't have them outside, they have them in their temple. And when they do all these hajjahs and all that kind of hajjahs, it's all in the temple. Okay? Now, like I said also in the previous episode, these things, they can be, you know, people do have kind of like these special swords designed and stuff like that. You see it with the whole subject of the katanas and whatnot, which are very popular in China and so forth, right? They're a very particular type of a sword, very expensive, high material workmanship and all that kind of watches. So the subject about sword, it's a very big subject altogether. But is that sword Masonic? Now this brings up a very interesting subject. there's been a subject of Illuminati and Freemason that is now being talked about with a lot of misinformation. And I think let us stay straight on what we know, on what we are clear about. And so I'm not gonna make this video too long. I wanted to show a news clip which talks about a sword in association to the Masonic Lodge, and you can hear it is a sword that is kept in the temple and it is used for ceremonies. Not that it's a sword that's given to individual, it's a sword that's used for ceremonies when they're doing their ritual forms and what and all that kind of jazz. So I took that clip and I thought, let's separate it from the one that giving a layout, because in the first video I'm giving a layout, and in this video I wanted to clarify. I will state this again. I am not an expert in Freemasonry or anything like that, but it's a subject I've studied for over 10 years. Okay, so it's something I've really acquired a little bit of knowledge about. This is why in the first video I asked if that is an initiation into Freemasonry, what degree, because Freemasonry is measured by degrees. First degree, second degree, all the way up until the 33rd degree. And as a matter of fact, most people don't even get up past the 3rd degree of Freemasonry. And again, there is a separation between Prince Hall Freemasonry, which is the one that you see black people in, and also yoke right, which is the one where you see white people only. Freemasonry. Okay? And so, which degree were they being initiated into? Then when you look at those degrees, then it will determine that whether it's so or it is not. But so therefore, in this subject, speculation. It's people just speculating because they see a sword. Now, as I stated, a sword can be something that you yourself interpret your own way as a gift. Like we stated, the sword, the word of God is like a double-edged sword. And I explained for me why a sword wouldn't be a best example for that. So I hope this does clear up on those areas. If there is a sword associated with Freemasonry and ceremonies, it's not given to the person. It belongs to the temple. And so, was that Freemasonic? By what standard? And also, again, the idea that Bishop Duncan himself had a Freemason in his family and he distanced himself. I believe personally that Bishop Duncan just has weird teachings, okay? Which is what, like if you listen to the video of him giving the sword to Pastor Eze, I don't think it's a Freemason ritual. I think Bishop Duncan it just has weird teaching, and the weird teaching, people don't know whether do they address the weird teaching or do they address the biblical side, which they might not be able to. Do they address the weird teaching or do they address the sword subject? So they end up just saying it's Masonic, and they just leave it there. And also looking at the crest over there with the 8-point star and all that kind of, yeah, that's the Star of David that can be interpreted as a symbol of Israel, and all that kind of jazz. It was also associated with a lot of the pilgrims that came from thingy, and also a symbol that was known even by the period of Hitler to be associated with the Jews. It wasn't always a weird satanic symbol because the Kabbalists use it, but it was associated with Israel, and so that symbol doesn't say much. That's why you will check on the channel. Even when it's associated with IPC, I haven't even talked about that because you need further. It can't just be one thing, because sometimes one thing can be taken and thinking. So I thought it was an interesting one to come back to and completely finish to say all speculation. It sounds more like speculation. Bishop Duncan does have weird teachings, like the earlier part you might have heard, where he's talking about, the sword. When you are under an attack or something, just raise this sword. And so it's as if raising the sword would do something. The word is the sword. So weird teaching coming into that doesn't help it. Okay? Fix the weird teaching. When people won't suspect you of funny things. It's the reality show with daily Christian commentary videos. If it's your first time over here, do check out the other videos that are down in the pinned comments. Those videos will be videos from what was done today, and I will see you on them other episodes. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of commentary. We do this on a daily basis. And have a wonderful evening for Christmas coming up soon. It's Ricky. Y'all be good.